Hi everybody, my name is Chad Barker. I'm going to show you today how to do a very simple kitchen layout. As you can see here in this picture, it's basically just a 10 by 10 kitchen with standard range, and you got a microwave, upper, dishwasher, and a refrigerator. Pretty simple. Nothing's really that built in. All you got to do is just follow some very simple steps, and you can have a very easy and very quick kitchen layout. And really, it's very pretty kitchen layout as well. So, all right, so let's get started. So this is our CAD view. That's the wire diagram of the kitchen we're going to be laying out. Let's get started with a brand new sheet, though. Here's the top view. And the idea here is we're really going to be starting off with a blank room. Okay, basically 10 by 10. I made this one a little bit different in the fact that I made this 130. The wall right here is going to be 130. And the reason for that is just a little bit more space. Kind of wanted to change it around just a little bit. And also threw a window on a 10-foot wall here, just to kind of give us something to reference off of, because most people are going to have some sort of a window in their kitchen. Okay, so let's get started. Pretty simple. What you want to do is always start with things that can't be moved. So for example, we have a window in this kitchen, so let's put a sink on this window. Very simple. 2-door, 1-false front sink cabinet. Let's take a look at it. I just pulled it out of there. It's a base 2-door, 1-false front sink. I want to center line that on the window. So basically what I need to do is change this over, figure out what the center position is, which is at 60, obviously. Should have known that. Alright, so as far as the width of our sink cabinet, now shown here is 30. That's just what was in the catalog, but I recommend making all of our sink cabinets 36 inches when you go into a kitchen application, unless you are really pressed for space. It's going to be, most any sink is going to fit into a 36-inch wide sink cabinet. That's just an industry standard for a sink cabinet, so we're just going to stick with that for this tutorial. Next thing we want to look at here is we got a corner. We know that the corners are one of those deals where it's a little bit harder to make, so let's figure out what we want to do there first before we jump into some other cabinets. So I'm going to pull out a base 90 to give you an idea of why we're not going to use a base 90 in this situation. Let me clean up a little thing real quick right here. So base 90, if I did decide to go with a base 90 in this corner application, you can see by sticking with a standard 36-inch wide sink cabinet, we come up with a very small space between these two. The base 90s are basically 36 inches from this point to here, and 36 inches from this point to here. Now we can make that into a 33. I believe we do have an option for that, and that would give you a 9-inch room here, but it doesn't work that well with functionality. A 9-inch wide cabinet between a sink and the base 90 is not going to work. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to go with another option, which is a blind corner base cabinet. Okay, blind corner base cabinet is something that looks like this. This is a very advanced cabinet in the fact that we made a lot of changes on it so that you don't have to do anything when you install it. You assemble this thing. It's already got this filler right here, and it's got the filler right here to hold it off of the wall. Now let's take a look at a top view on this cabinet. And what you want to remember is the fact that from one point to another, so for example, let's just say we're going to be going from this point here down to here. That's not right. Looks like it's holding on to something else. So, alright, so basically the width of this cabinet comes at 44 or 47 inches. You'll notice that when you go to order. Now the width is basically from this point here to this point here. It does not include that filler. The filler is just basically a way that we're trying to tell you, hey, make sure you hold this cabinet off the wall. Keep 3-inch space from this point to there. Okay, and again, if you didn't see that, let's zoom in just a little bit more. From here to here, you're going to want to keep a 3-inch space. And the reason for that is the contractors almost never make their walls square. So as you notice, 3-inch wide filler from here to here. Now you can cut that off on site if you really want to, and do whatever you want to with our cabinets. It's just we recommend doing it like this. Installation's a lot easier. Moving on. Okay, another filler right here that's already attached to the cabinet from the interior. This is all part of the assembly. That is exactly 3 inches, as you see right there. Okay, and let me just draw that 44. We're going to use a 44-inch wide blind corner base cabinet. So, right here's, I'm going to draw one more thing in. Sorry about that. All right, and just showing you that there's a 3-inch wide filler space right here. It's just void. There's nothing there. Okay. Alright, so the nice thing about this cabinet now is the fact that we have 15-inch wide space. Now that's a very usable space, very normal size cabinet can go in there. So what I'm going to do is add a one door, one drawer base cabinet. Now just keep in mind, you got a 3-inch wide filler already here, okay? So you're going to want to make sure that your cabinet is decreased to be exactly 15 inches wide, which is what I've done. 15 from this point to there. Cabinets butt up next to each other, no problem. Okay, so what we've accomplished so far, sink centered on the window, corner cabinet right here, 3 inches off of the wall, that includes the filler. Let me zoom in there for you. Alright, so anyway, back to what we have here. Alright, so yeah, 3-inch wide filler there, 3-inch wide filler there, everything's all looking good. It's pretty easy, pretty standard. Alright, let's go back to a wire diagram, and we'll be moving on to the next portion. Okay, now what we want to do is look at using some sort of a range or a refrigerator. Most likely you're going to want to put a refrigerator in your kitchen. You probably want to plan that out. Most likely you already know where it goes, but in this case, what I'm going to do is just grab a standard refrigerator. Most people like the side-by-sides, what everybody uses. I'm going to use that right now. This one in particular is 36 inches wide. It's just a real standard little computer drawing here for the thing, but most refrigerators are about 36 inches wide, and they're usually about 24 deep, somewhere around 26, 24, right in there with a handle. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to space it off of the wall by 1 inch. So I'm going to basically say, look, I need an air border of 1 inch from this to the wall. And just, it slides in. You want to make sure that you're off the wall. And then at least another inch when you go into your cabinets. Now keep in mind that your countertop typically overhangs your cabinets by 1 inch. So nothing can go into that space. So basically, let's just kind of move on, and I'll basically be grabbing that. When we put the cabinet there, I'll show you how the countertop interferes with the refrigerator if you're not careful. So, okay, so real simple here. I am going to go over and I'm going to put a range top in. So I'm just looking for one right now. It's got quite a big catalog here, so excuse me for 1 second. Viking, cooking, built-in ranges, freestanding ranges. All right, so I'm going to add a 30-inch wide range. I'm just grabbing one from the catalog here. Okay, this is a Thermador 30-inch wide range. You don't have to use this type, but really any 30-inch wide range will work very similar. Alright, so there you go. Pretty simple. It's nice and pretty. Alright, so typically a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to toss this range right here and leave 30 inches from this point on this cabinet to the next cabinet over here, and I'm just going to slide my range in. Now, that's true, you can do that, but I usually recommend having some sort of a barrier or some sort of insurance policy just in case your measurements are off just a little bit. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of filler. Plus, this will actually dress up your kitchen a little bit. So this is a little trick. Just pay attention here. What I'm going to do is grab a base finished in, which is 6 inches deep. Or it basically comes out at 24 and 5/8 in this case. But what we're going to do, so base finished in, just like this, real simple, just a slab base finished in panel. Okay, I'm going to actually decrease that down to 6 and 5/8. Okay, the width is now going to be 6 and 5/8, and I'm going to use it. I like to call these appliance spacers. Okay, it basically sections off the appliance area of your kitchen from your cabinets, and it really adds a lot of functionality. And I think it looks better personally, but it also is going to help you just in case you have some installation issues. So in this case, I'm going to knock this one out to 24.625 minus. All right, so I got my appliance finished in. So I am now going to place this on the edge of the cabinet. Alright, so see what I've done right here is I've put this 6 and 5/8 wide filler from this point to here, 6 and 5/8. You don't have to get a full depth one. There's just no point in that. There's no reason to spend the extra money on the material. So what we have, if you look at it in 3D, let's rotate our view here just a little bit. Kind of show what we're doing. So what I'm doing is I'm basically taking a filler. I'm going from the top of the cabinet down to the floor. Okay, appliance is going to go and basically slide in right through here. So now you don't have to worry about the door getting busted up or something happens. There's a little bit more protection. Plus, there's also an air gap here just in case this end gets pushed from one side to another. Just keep in mind that your countertop's going to be probably running into your range, but regardless, that's something your countertop people will deal with. But all right, so let's take this 30-inch wide range, and that was a weird message. All right, so there we go. Range going right in there, sits up right next to it. do not know why the computer program does that, but alright, so here we go. Range sits right there. This appliance filler sections off the appliance from the other piece. So let's move on to the other side. And the other side, we're going to just basically put a real standard base, one door, one drawer cabinet. And this is where we're going to talk about more about the refrigerator. Alright, so let's take an elevation view on that and see what we're looking at. Okay, again, what we're going to want to do here is move this one over, grab that appliance filler, we're going to copy that. It needs to be the same on each side. So let's do this. So now I got a 30-inch wide space from here to here. So 30 inches wide. So I leave 30 inches exactly for this appliance. Now check your appliance specs, make sure that that's what they require. If you have a 36-inch wide range top, you're going to want to do a 36-inch wide space here between the two appliance end panels. And then they'll just slide it in. It's pretty simple. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is take this cabinet, slide it over. It's pretty simple. And now we're going to look at the space between our refrigerator and the refrigerator and this base cabinet. Okay. At the moment, I have 1.5 inches, and that would probably be okay. Just keep in mind that your countertop typically wants to overhang by 1 inch from here, so it's going to come over to here somewhere. Okay, and you don't want to get this refrigerator in there and then all of a sudden it won't fit. That's just not a good deal. Okay, so also keep in mind that you're going to have a base finished in panel. You probably want to do an in panel here. You don't have to, but it's one of those things where you might as well. It's just going to look better, and you know, it's just good practice. So let's throw a base end panel in there. And it's all the way up there. That's nice. So all right, let's move this thing over. All right. So now what we do in 3D. Okay. Now the white top drawer front is just signifying the fact that it's a solid drawer front, so just disregard that. But anyway, you can see the appliance filler. This is a full-on finished in, so from top view it's actually going back all the way. You don't have to do that. You could do it 6 inches and save yourself some money, but sometimes you might be able, if there's enough gap here between the refrigerator and the base cabinet, then you might get a little, you know, you might be able to see back there. You don't want to see unfinished material. So I put a full-on finished in there. Alright, looking at it back again, front view, we're looking good. Okay, this cabinet, we've got about 1 inch or more of space. That means the refrigerator is going to be able to scoot in there, no problem. Make sure you review your specs on your refrigerators. Make sure you got the right width. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Okay, so let's move on to the other end of the kitchen here. Again, we're doing another appliance. We have what? We have a dishwasher, most likely. You need one of those. All right, so let's take our dishwasher finished in panels here and our little appliance in panels, the 6-inch wide ones that we created earlier. Take that, and then I'm going to pull out a dishwasher here. Let's just see. I'm just going to grab a random dishwasher. Those are pretty ugly dishwashers. Okay, 1 second here. There we go. There's a standard weird-looking dishwasher. All right. So did that. It's got 24-inch wide space there. Typically, dishwashers are 24 inches wide. Put your appliance fillers right there. No problem. Let's take a look at it in 3D. Let's see what we've done. And there we go. So appliance fillers are there. And basically what you have, appliance fillers here, kind of sections off each appliance. It's very simple. Appliance fillers over here, sink cabinet right there. Everything's all lining up. Pretty easy. Okay, so this is the end of our run right here, where this green wall starts. That's where we want to stop our cabinet run. So what we're going to do now is grab, let's just say we want to throw in, and I'll probably change it from the plan I showed you earlier. I'm just going to throw in a 3-drawer base cabinet, okay? And let's just, let's see here, how are we doing this? Alright. 3/4, so that's going to be 24, that's wrong. Alright, so I'm just moving everything over, keeping everything. We have 1/4-inch increments here, so it's a little different. Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of firming everything up here. Okay, so I have 16.5 inches from this point, from this end to here. And I want to put a base cabinet in there, and that's no problem. Alright, so, and just keep in mind, right now, if I just threw a base cabinet in there, you got an unfinished end here, so you do need to put a finished end panel on that. And let's just do something a little bit more clever. Let's put a base end panel that's like panelized. Okay, and the reason I like the panelized in panel is that it does dress up your kitchen just a little bit. Okay, so base finished end, and I'm going to do a base finished end applied door. Man, this one's backwards. Alright, so let's just flip this one around. And in and out, 24.625. Alright. So basically this is the base finished in panel. This is a standard one from floor to the top of the cabinet. You wouldn't want to do one with the profiled edges on there. There's an option on our base finished in panels with the applied door is to change it so there's square edges on the outside, and then also you can get a wider bottom rail. And that looks really nice. It's going to look more built-in, more furniture-like. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to change over to base in panel. Just pulling up a few different options here. Let's go with lanai, raise panel, base in panel. And there we go. So what I did right here, I just changed it. Squared outside edges. Let me put that in color for you. Wider top rail if you need to put like some sort of a outlet or something in there. It's always hooked up for it. And a wider bottom rail. And the nice thing about the bottom rail is if you had a cabinet in the front over here, which I'll show you right now. And let's take a look. So as you can see here, the bottom rail it actually lines up with this one. It's kind of a clever deal. Something we've been doing for quite a while. So anyway, it all lines up. It's just it looks more dialed in and more architecturally correct. So back out of this. And let's go back to our wire mode. All right, so we did all of our base cabinets. It's pretty good. All right, so let's do some upper cabinets now for the kitchen. All right. So going into upper cabinets, something to keep in mind here. The first thing you want to do is start off with your corner. Now you can do lots of different things for uppers. Okay, so I'm in the wrong category. Let's go base. Let's go wall. So this upper cabinet, you could do like a wall 45. Not my personal favorite cabinet. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it gives you a little bit more room, but it kind of eats up that corner space a little bit too much. You could do a wall 90. Let's take a look at that. You could do a wall 45 with glass on it. We have lots of different options there. This is the wall 90. It's not a bad looking cabinet. It's basically just a 90-degree cabinet. It kind of goes around the corner, but it really does make your job a lot easier. So I'm going to change these over to our lanai so it just matches up for when I show you the 3D. So bear with me for 1 second. Alright, so we got our wall 90 cabinet in there. And just so everybody knows, you guys are going to need to make sure you measure your height of your ceiling. So I got it from finished top of the floor to the finished bottom of the ceiling. Okay, I have 108 inches. Okay, now, I'm not running these cabinets all the way up to the ceiling because nobody's going to be able to reach up 9 feet tall. I mean, that's just not going to happen. So I leave a 12-inch wide air soffit, is what I like to call it. And I like to make the bottom of my cabinets a certain dimension. So you're going to need to make sure you figure out what dimension you want the height of your cabinets to be. In this case, when I have 108 inches, I like the bottom of my cabinets off the floor by 54 inches tall. That's just, it seems, for me, that's what we've always used for industry standards. We see that a lot. It looks the nicest, it doesn't look out of place, and it just looks correct. So, bottom of the cabinet, not including the under cabinet light balance or anything like that, I'm just talking about the actual bottom of the cabinet to the floor, is at 54 inches. That's what I'm putting it down at. So that makes all my cabinets 42 inches tall with that 12-inch air soffit up above. Okay? Just the biggest thing here, just 54 from bottom of the cabinet to the floor. That's it. Alright, so let's move on. Basically looking around here, it's starting to get a little bit more complicated. Let's move into where the wall cabinet is going to be over the refrigerator. It's pretty simple. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is anytime a cabinet touches the wall, like when it actually runs into the wall. Now this does not include the base or the wall 90 here. It doesn't make any sense because it doesn't actually touch the wall. Like doors are not actually going into the wall. You're going to need a filler. And fillers are available in any dimension you really need. It's no problem. They have to be at least 2 inches wide, though, to order them from our website, where you can make them yourself. But anyway, we recommend doing a 2-inch wide filler. So that's what I'm going to put here. Let's zoom in here just a little bit. And as far as the height over the refrigerator, just make sure you have at least 1 to 2 inches or so. I mean, you can really get it in there, but just check with the appliance specs on your refrigerator to make sure that you're okay with that. There's nothing worse than the refrigerator not being able to fit in there, but typically 1 or 2 inches would be fine. So in this case, I'm just going to make them, let's just say 26 tall, just for hypothetical reasons. I'm making it 12 inches deep from the front of or, the cabinet depths on this wall is going to be all 12 inches deep. So the filler, basically, the idea behind a filler is that you're able to actually put the cabinets into the wall. And let me just change something that bothers me a little bit. All right, so basically here you go. The wall is over here, and the filler is going to go into the wall. Now you need fillers because if you don't, and you're off by even a 1/16 of an inch, you're going to have either a very small space you won't be able to utilize, or let's just say that you over measure and you have too much cabinets. Now you got to cut a cabinet down, and that's going to be a disaster. So fillers are nice. They're just a nice insurance policy. A 2-inch wide filler on a 130-inch long wall, that's probably fine as far as your width. You might go a little bit more if you're a little afraid your measurements are off. But the idea really is just an insurance policy. The dimension from this point to here, which is at 1.25 inches, it means you can be off by about 1.25 inches, and your cabinets are still going to look professional. Okay? So 2-inch wide fillers, either if you're doing base cabinets, is exactly the same way. Now another thing that I like to do here is put a 1/4 inch gap between the filler and the wall. And the reason for that is there's nothing worse than having to try to scribe in a filler into the wall. It just doesn't work. Okay? So the idea here is you leave a 1/4 inch gap on your plan, and then you can go back and you can order Scribe Molding. I'm sorry, Scribe Molding. You're right. I'm right. So Scribe Molding, basically what it does is it basically covers up a little bit of a gap. Now if you're dead on with your measurements and you have it exactly a 1/4 inch from the edge of the filler to the wall, then great, good for you. The idea here is that let's just say that ends up being a 1/2 inch. Well, you have to either order another filler, or the Scribe Molding just covers up this gap, and it's a very professional way of doing it. So just take a look at our Scribe Molding material there. It's very cheap to order one, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so let's take a wall 2-door cabinet, and let's get moving on this thing. You're probably waiting for this thing to get moving. So I'm going to make this wall 2-door cabinet, let's see, 26 inches tall. Alright, so I made it 26 inches tall. We're going to be going over here. Let's worry about that in a minute. We'll come back to this because we have to center line everything over the range first. So that cabinet's there for now. So what we need to do right now is figure out how we're going to do this range with a microwave hood underneath. Okay, so let's take another wall 2-door cabinet, and we're going to put the center line the same as your range top. Pretty simple. Let's see here. Just got to change one thing real quick. Sorry about that. Center position is. Alright, so let me figure out what the center position is here real quick. Center is 67 1/4, and I can do that because I have the on the computer. If you don't have a computer, obviously you just have to measure from one end to the other and make sure that everything's equal. So we have a 30-inch wide appliance. I'm going to make this upper 30 inches wide. It's very important to look at your appliance specs for the microwave hood that you'll be putting underneath here. If you get that wrong, you'll have a little bit of a gap and it won't look right, but just go 30. I mean, that's typically what they'll do in this case. So alright, so that's good. We're also going to be putting in a couple of wall 1 doors to the left and the right side. Typically match it up from down below. Got 13-inch width on that cabinet down below. Alright, that looks good. Don't worry about end panels right now, we'll come back to that. Alright, so I'm going to open this one up, and I'm going to change the door from being a left side hinge to the right side, so just keep that in mind. And I'm just going to decrease the height there to give us some room for our microwave upper. So the distance for the microwave upper, microwave hood, is from here to here. You want to look and see what your appliance specs say. Again, that's pretty simple. They draw it out pretty easily for you. Also, I'm going to adjust these to go down to a 42-inch height, like we discussed earlier. That gets the bottom of the cabinet 54 inches off the floor. That's what I like to do. So, alright. Move this one over here, and there we go. The cabinet is now 23 and 3/4. That's right on the edge of being either a 1-door or a 2-door. You can do either one. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. So, all right. So as far as end panels are concerned, in regards to you're gonna be able to see quite a few of these right in here. Let's take a look. Oh, that was nice. Okay. Obviously, you got some unfinished ends here. You got one there. You got one right there, which we're going to deal with here in a minute. And you got one over here. So let's take care of our finished in problem. Okay, so there's two different ways of doing it. Number one, you could run an in panel from the bottom to the top, and the bottom to the top, and it separates these cabinets out. That's one way of doing it. By all means, it's not the only way of doing it, but that's something to look at. So in this case, we do need to maintain 30 inches of space between these two. So what I usually recommend, what I like to do, the easiest way to do it, obviously, we run it to the bottom to the top, but what I like to do is actually decrease these cabinets by 3/4. In this case, it actually works better. Decrease this one by 3/4 as well. So all I did was I just opened up a little gap there. Increasing this one by 1.5 inches, and I'll show you the reason why here. Oh, that was nice. Shouldn't have done that. All right. Okay, so what I did was basically now I have a 31.5 from here to here, and I'm going to put like a 3/4 inch in panel from right here and right there. And the reason for that is because you're able to, if you do those in panels on the left and right sides there, then you don't have to split the cabinet line up, and it's going to look more flush, more custom, and it's just going to look a little bit better. So in this case, let's just say hypothetically that the manufacturer of this thing's asking for, I'm going to add 3 in there. Let's just say that he says, hey, it needs to be 18 inches from here to here, 18 inches. So I'm going to order an in panel, height of 18, depth of 12 5/8, like normal. And there we go. So I got an in panel now, right there. Pretty simple. Where'd it go? All right, there we go. And that goes there. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it up, and now, as you can see, what I'm doing right now is I'm just basically just showing you the applied, or the microwave hood is going to go in here. But now what I've done is if there's any sort of leftover space, let's just say that thing sits up 2 inches from here, you're going to be able to see an applied in panel rather than an unfinished in panel on a cabinet. But also it keeps the whole line of cabinets smooth and correct. Okay, so that's pretty much it there. You can do the same thing over on this side. It's a little slow right now. I'm just going to pull this wall cabinet all the way over. I'm going to copy this other in panel. Same idea. Alright, so I'm going to go back up to, let's see, what would that height be? So trying to figure out the height is pretty simple. You just figure out the difference between the two. In this case, it's 16 inches. So I'm going to go 54. The height of this in panel is going to be 16. Alright, so I've taken care of those two problems. Okay, so next thing we want to look at is our in panel on this guy right here. So same idea. I'm just going to use a wall in panel. So a wall finished in panel. These are all blank ones. Now you can use applied door in panels if you want to when they're exposed to air. I wouldn't use them next to the appliances, but I'm just going to use blank slab in panels right here. So what I'm doing there is, actually that one's already dialed in, so there you go. Sorry about that. My magnify tool does not work that well. So I just applied this in panel to the end of this 90-degree wall cabinet. Okay? Pretty simple. Okay, so let's go back here. Now, in addition to that, you don't have to stop that wall run right there. Now, if you really wanted to, technically, we could put another. Let's put another cabinet in there just for the fun of it. I think that's what we had on the original plan. So I'm going to get a wall, one door. Just pulling one out of the catalog, real simple, and put it in here. I know what the height of my wall one doors are. They're always 42 because I know that the bottom of the cabinet needs to be 54 inches off the ground. So let's pull this one over, and there you have it. Just added a wall in panel right there. I mean, a wall in panel to a wall one door. So that'll give you a little bit more storage. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that's pretty much simple there. The only last thing we really need to do is just put a wall two-door, and it's really just going to follow the exact same thing we just did. Wall two-door is going to go all the way over here. We can go 39.5, that's fine. 39.5 width, sorry, from this point to there. And all we got to do now is basically, I really should have probably put the end panels on there. Sorry about that. Let's just do that real quick. I'm going to copy and paste these in panels over. Alright, so we know we just need 2 more in panels on this one to basically finish off that run. And then we just basically expand that cabinet that's inside of it from one end to the other. And in this case we get a 38-inch wide wall cabinet. And it's not dimensioned right, so let's just save. And I'm just adjusting the sizes to show a correct layout. Alright, there we go. Very simple. So there we go. I just basically put together a whole kitchen, and that's way too close. Alright. So basically what I did is I just put together a whole kitchen there. Just a real simple wall 2-door, base 3-drawer stack. You know, everything's real lined up, real nice. Don't forget about your fillers going into the wall. Anytime the edge of your cabinet goes into the wall, you need to have fillers. It's very important. You don't have to use slab in panels. You can use applied doors like on this cabinet right here, like we did down below. I just kind of want to show you that real quick. Sinks, just make sure, yeah, like I said before, 36-inch wide sink cabinets are the way to go. As far as your dishwasher opening from one cabinet to the other, and that includes these appliance in panels that I showed you about, those 6-inch wide appliance fillers. Just make sure that you have at least whatever the manufacturer requires. Typically that's 24 inches wide of space. Okay, and those in panels, those little appliance in panels that we showed, are really going to save you a lot of time if you do run into any issues. So 6 inches from the back to the front, or 6 5/8 in this case. Other than that, yeah, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. This is a very simple kitchen, so we're going to do some more tutorials here pretty soon. They're going to show you a little bit more about some very in-depth stuff, actually casing out the refrigerator, doing maybe a range top in there, or even putting an island in. So that's all stuff we can do in other episodes. So I appreciate your time. Feel free to give me a call if you have any questions. Phone number here is 503-476-1060, or email us at chad@barkercabinets.com. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye.